Doing life. It's the experience we all hold dear. It's reflected in our communities. It's reflected in our people. It's the one thing that unites us all, family and friends. Together, we all have something to share.
Well, welcome to another episode of Something to Share. We're so glad you're able to join us today. And you know, many times we go through life and we always hit different stages, and there's different levels of understanding, what's next, right? How do we plan? How do we deal with the life experiences that we've had? Always the need to look into what is our process in life. So today we're going to talk about that very thing with a young man. His name is Jacob, and he's joining us today. Thank you for joining us today, Jacob. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Good. Now, you're 24 years old. Mm-hmm. You've had some pretty big life changes very recently.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Share me a little bit about those life changes.
Yes. So I grew up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, so far away from here. And I was born and raised there for the first 22 years of my life. And then my wife and I just recently moved down here 2 years ago. So we're brand new to the Orlando area and Florida, and we just recently got married 2 years ago. So we're new to the married life, and we just bought our first house a few months ago. So, taking care of the house and the mortgage and all those responsibilities. So a lot of big things going on recently.
You're an adult.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh no.
Yes, I know.
Well, I can speak from personal experience that I had to learn a lot of those lessons probably the hard way. I wasn't quite on the right path at your age. I was on a very different path. But also as a young adults pastor, I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with people in that same age demographic that you're at. And you're in your mid to early 20s, married now just a couple of years. So there's a lot to plot and plan for. You're also pretty much starting a new career, right? So you've been at your current job, just a year and a half, maybe a year?
Less than that. I started in March, so it's been about 8 months, 7, 8 months.
There you go. Right out of college, you got fresh. Yourself a job.
Yep, that's right.
Working good.
Yep.
Well, listen, this is what's really unique about getting an opportunity to talk with you and hear what you have to share is, there's a lot of ways to go about this, right? I mean, we can kind of just throw all caution to the wind and live our lives as a young person, and I certainly did that. I think there's mega shortcomings to that, for sure. But share with me a little bit, what prompted you to go, okay, I'm just not going to throw all caution to the wind. I'm going to start making a plan for my life. Was there an influence in your life? What got you to that stage?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been one to be spontaneous. I'd say I'm definitely a planner, so it starts there. But I was very fortunate to have, great parents as great role models, and from a young age, they always taught me to have a plan, know where you want to be next, and shoot for those goals. And they've always been very supportive, especially, from a professional standpoint and a job. They always said, it doesn't matter what job you have, it doesn't matter how much money you make, as long as you love what you do. And so that's kind of something that, I kind of have that mindset for anything I do, anywhere I go. So I've been very fortunate there.
That's good. That's good. And sometimes love what you do doesn't necessarily mean the perfect career. Sometimes it's just really about is what we do, financially speaking, the right thing for what we're planning for, right? Exactly. That kind of makes sense. I always try to tell the young adults in my ministry, we can get caught up on, having the perfect job that satisfies us, but really the satisfaction comes in our relationships with God and with each other. It's most important. So you mentioned goals. Your parents said, seize those goals, go after those goals. So exactly how do you come about as a young man, 24 years old, fresh out of college? How do you set goals? What are your priorities, and how do you put that together?
Yeah, it's a lot. From an education standpoint, I knew that after my undergrad, I wanted to continue school. So right now, I'm pursuing my MBA. I'm about halfway done with that, and that education, those goals kind of spill over into my professional life. Because I know that will help me kind of move up the ladder and get closer to my dream job that I want someday. So those things kind of go together and spill together. And then from, more of a personal life standpoint, my wife and I, when we got married, we said, in a couple of years, we want to have our own house, which we do. So we were able to accomplish that goal. And, a few years after that, if we're fortunate, maybe start a family, have some kids. So it's, we don't set very, very specific goals, but, we know the things that we want. I know the things that I want. And so far they've kind of been falling into place, which is good. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when it comes to your finances, just real quick, is there any kind of like model out there that you followed to say, okay, as a young man, I know that, everybody thinks retirement, but there are so many goals between here and there, cars, houses, kids, college funds, so on and so forth. When it comes to the financial, is there a program or a process or a plot that's allowed you to really gain a hold of how to goal set regarding your finances?
yeah, there's a lot of different programs and models out there that I think, people look at them, especially at a young age, and they get overwhelmed. A lot of times because the examples they'll use, income levels or things that maybe they're not at yet. So my advice is always just to follow the plan that works for you, because everybody's in a different situation. So personally, for my wife and I, basically we add each other's incomes up per month, and then we subtract our expenses, and then whatever we have left is our leftover money. And then we cut that in half. Half of it we save, and then the other half is, fun money, date money. So that's kind of our model, but it's different for everyone. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's really encouraging to hear a young couple, a young man really saying, okay, if I'm going to achieve the things I want to achieve in life, I've got to set goals for them and accomplish those.
Exactly.
And then, of course, always through relationships, prayer and a relationship with the Lord makes all of that kind of come into track. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your heart, a little bit of who you are and how you plan and plot your family and your goals. And, we all have different experiences and we all have unique points of view. But the one thing we all have in common is we all have something to share. We want to encourage you to come to Medi-Share.com and share your life experiences with us. We hope to see you next time on Something to Share. We've all been given gifts by God. Do you know what yours are? Here's a practical way to find out what they may be. Don't miss out on your spiritual gifting and how to put them into practice. Download your spiritual gifts worksheet now.